Welcome again to the Cooperative Game Chat. Again, tentative until we figure something else out. I am the Wiz, along with...
This is Zero, and glad to be back again for another show.
Alright. Yeah, this is going to be our 0A for this one. So, we're still on 0. We're not going to count these. We're still getting our feet wet, seeing how we're going to do this. But I thought the first one went pretty good from amongst the instead of the obvious problem that there was on that one. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, especially the weird audio issues that you had towards the latter part of the initial episode 0 that you had released last week.
that's mainly what I was talking about. But let's get past that and Zero. Why don't we just start with what you've been playing for the past week?
Well, as odd as it is, this one's a blast from my TCG playing past, and that would be Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel, which suddenly just showed up out of nowhere about 2 weeks ago on almost everything. So Steam, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and if I didn't say it yet, Steam on PC. Konami has put a giant note in the on the website that it is coming to Android and iOS soon. They don't have an exact date, and
Jeez,
the cool part is,
I didn't realize it was on those other consoles.
yeah. And then the best part is, well, two best things about this game is, one, as long as you create a Konami profile, then you have cross progression through all the platforms. So let's say you start on PC, and you create your Konami profile, link it to your Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel profile, then in theory you can just download it on Xbox Series X, PS5, PS4, wherever, log on, go to the account linking section, and just log into your Konami account, and boom, everything is loaded right back up.
Okay, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I've been playing it on PC as well, and I'm just absolutely mystified how anyone plays this game. I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, I'm a Magic player, so I can see why someone would say the same thing about Magic the Gathering. But I think I won one match and I have no idea how I did it. That's
Yeah. The other thing that's been really awesome to see is the fact that you can play cross-platform with any of the platforms that the game is available on. So
well.
let's
I
say
think with a card game that would probably be easy, though, wouldn't it?
you would think so, but
Yeah, that's true.
very few tabletop games that have made the digital conversion have rarely actually gotten into the nuts and bolts of trying to get cross-platform play to actually work. But this one, it's kind of amazing because of the fact that just when you create your duelist ID is what they call it. You can basically send your duelist ID around to anybody who's playing the game, and then once that person has your duelist ID, they can add you to their friends list and send you a duel invite. So you can just kind of cross-play with wherever they choose to play, and kind of play matches for fun and everything. So I thought that was really great to see, especially in just an era where cross-platform play in a lot of multiplayer games just seems like a Herculean act by some developers.
Yeah, strangely, some of the biggest developers that have the most money seem to have an issue with crossplay for some reason. I think it has more to do with most of them are ones that have a free-to-play economy or an economy where they want you to spend money.
Yeah.
And just some of the companies, some of the higher ones will the platformers, the platforms, I should say, platformers. The platform doesn't want to bend a little bit with the money they're taking out. Like, I think, isn't Sony 30% per transaction and Microsoft's around 15 to 20?
I want to say it's 30 around the board. The only one that is taking less is Epic,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Epic is like, I think, 12%. But
Yeah.
yeah, just you've got that, and then another case example is Borderlands 3 which has crossplay between Xbox and PC. There is no crossplay with PlayStation because apparently, according to Randy Pitchford, I don't know how reliable his word is, with all the weirdness with him, but he claims that Sony was asking for an exorbitant ransom to allow for cross-platform play between PC and Xbox with PlayStation players. So that's why Borderlands 3 has no crossplay between PC and Xbox and PlayStation.
Huh, I didn't even realize that they didn't have crossplay on the PlayStation. But yeah, I don't know with when it comes to Randy and Randy Pitchford and what he says is true or not. He is a weird character though. But
yeah, he certainly is. You'd mentioned only winning one match in Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I have not touched the PvP even one match, mostly because the card game has gotten so much power creep over the last 10 years that just you can do just some really insane stuff. And even on browsing some online communities like the R Yu-Gi-Oh community on Reddit, the common consensus seems to be that if you don't have a setup that can kill somebody within the first or second turn, then you're pretty much doomed to be killed by your opponent.
Oh God!
So that's part of the reason I don't play any of the PvP stuff. But what kind of gave me some hope was there has been sort of a community format, kind of like Magic had a community format called Commander, which is sort of taken off and everything. The Yu-Gi-Oh community had a community format called the Scapegoat format, and it's interesting because it's kind of like I would almost compare it to Magic the Gathering's modern archetype, where basically you have a certain limit of cards that you can play, and those cards are pretty much the only cards that you can pick from a pool of. And I forget exactly where the Scapegoat format stops, but the Scapegoat format is a little bit closer to what I used to play when I was actively in the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament scene, where it emphasizes card management. Battles are a little bit longer. They can be drawn out to about 7 to 10 turns, if I remember correctly. So it encourages things like card management, card advantage, graveyard manipulation, and all sorts of other things, which is a little slower. And it was kind of funny when Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel went live, because there was some discussion in some of the Yu-Gi-Oh communities that Konami has started to recognize the Scapegoat format. And some people were kind of asking, saying, hey, yo, Konami, so we're finally starting to get Scapegoat as a format recognized. Why didn't you add it to Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel? I think that would get even more people to come and try the game out, because a lot of people who used to play Yu-Gi-Oh in the early 2000s would really come back pretty hard for the Scapegoat format, because that's probably a little bit closer to what they remember. It's definitely been interesting to see that, but I know for me, my main focus in Master Duel has mostly been the single player PvE content, which is interesting because the single player content sort of gives you a backstory on the card archetypes. I know I'd mentioned this in my Discord server at one point with you, but one of the archetypes was about like a bunch of doomsday gods, like an apocalypse queen and a king of ruin and everything.
Yeah.
And the story for that one was just so much fun. It just kind of had this whole feel of the universe is a cyclical thing, but these are the two gods that will bring upon the destruction and the resetting of the world and everything. And then after they give you the story, they kind of throw you into the match, and basically they have one example game that's kind of like a tutorial on the main mechanic of this particular archetype, and then after that they'll have like a sort of final exam duel, and that final exam duel is basically um, going to push you into trying to apply the skills that you learned in the tutorial match and use that to beat the computer controlled opponent. And I don't know what it is, but just kind of building the lore about the story archetypes, I just thought that was so fun and sort of reminded me of just the Yu-Gi-Oh manga and everything. So had a lot of fun with that, and I'm still sort of slowly churning through it, but some of the archetypes that I bumped into, it is just like mechanic madness, and it's just like, oh yeah, combo this card into this card. Then after you combo to make that combo, you'll combo again with your extra deck, pull a summon monster, deploy it. Oh, you'll do a combo off of that new summoned extra deck monster with stuff in your graveyard, and it's just like, whoa, hold on. This is like mechanic madness. What in the world is going on?
And that's my issue with Yu-Gi-Oh! When it comes to the mechanics, because at least with Magic, they have keywords where if you see a keyword on a card, you automatically know what that means. So, like for example, with something that says reach, that means that anything with reach can defend a flying card as well as a standard card. Or flying, that means it can go over other cards, and you can only ones with flying or reach can defend a flying card, like something along those lines. So, like I think Yu-Gi-Oh would do well to have keywords, because a lot of the cards do the same things. Like, that's not exactly true. Now that I'm thinking about it, like they'll do the same things mechanically, but they'll end a different way. Like, for example, if you can discard this one card and it'll give you 300 extra attack, or if you do this other card, it'll give you 400 extra attack. So, I played the game for a week, and I played online, and then I just couldn't get a hold of it. I just kept...
Yeah, completely understandable, and I get it. I know in my Discord server, I had posted this crazy combo that I ended up pulling off when I was playing the story mode for this one machine fusion theme deck and everything, where I ended up summoning like this gigantic aircraft carrier that had like a gigantic like 100 millimeter gun on it and everything, and the thing had like a whopping 6,000 attack and 6,000 defense, and it required like the fusion of 3 Xyz monsters, and it had like a subtext of, oh yeah, by the way, if you discard one of the fusion monsters on this monster, then you can double the attack score for the turn. But if you do this, then this particular monster can be the only one that attacks during this turn. So, and then on top of that, it had a second ability, which was, by the way, this monster can attack repeatedly for equal to the number of Xyz monsters on it. So by default, when it starts off with 3 fusion monsters stuck onto it, then yeah, that's 3 attacks at 6,000 apiece. Or you can discard one, double its score to 12,000, and attack twice, and then so on and so forth. So ended up with this ridiculous combo. Just was able to discard one, double the attack score to 12,000, then had like a magic spell card called limit overclocking, which doubles all the attack scores of all machine type monsters, which this giant doomsday aircraft carrier basically is. So that 12,000 became 24,000, and then just attack for extreme damage. And knowing the fact that if the computer opponent blocked that one attack, that there would be no way to survive a second attack for 24,000, it felt kind of cool, but at the same time I was like, wow, this is the most absolutely confusing thing I've ever navigated through. Oh my god.
I got a question for you. Is there
Sure.
anything in the game that makes you want to purchase more cards or more packs of cards?
Um, that's kind of the interesting rub. So, with the game just debuting, Konami has been extremely generous with doling out the gems, which are the cash currency of the game and
Yes, I
everything.
know.
So,
I know
so just
which really begs the question: when is the other shoe going to drop?
yeah. And it's a big reason I would encourage anyone who wants to look into Master Duel to play through the story mode, because if you play through the story mode, some of the story mode chapters will actually give you full complete theme decks, like the Apocalypse God one. That one, if you complete the final exam duel, then you actually get the theme deck based on the Apocalypse Gods added to your inventory for free. So it's not a, hey, by beating this chapter, you now have the chance to buy the deck that you played with. It's no, hey, we're giving you a copy of it,
Now,
which I thought was actually kind of cool.
you mentioned before the call that this actually beat out Magic Arena on concurrent players total from Steam and from others, according to some metric. We're not sure what metric that is, but is this a sign that this is just a very well made game, or is this more of this just came out? People are curious to see how this is.
Um, Honestly, it's hard to say. I think it's one part. Some people are frustrated with Magic Arena, how Magic Arena doesn't really kind of dole things out too much, and in some cases can be seen as real stingy. The other part is some people do have nostalgia for the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. So some people might be going, "Oh yeah, I used to play that in high school, in middle school, and college. Oh
They're
cool,
called
there's a new."
nerds.
So it might be just some people just kind of going down a trip down nostalgia lane and going, "Hey, let me check this out." And then I think another element is probably, and this is the more likely reason, it's new, it's shiny, it's well designed theme wise too, because the music has been great, um, especially when you get to like certain milestones in a match and everything. So like if one player hits the 50% mark on their health, then the music dynamic changes
Yeah,
from
and the board
from
changes as well. The board
oh
has cracks
yes.
and everything. Well, yeah,
Yeah, and then of course when you get to critical, the music becomes so much more dramatic and everything. So just sort of fun little touches that make this whole thing real shiny looking to play and everything. So, in my opinion, I think that's the more likely reason. Just it's just a shiny new thing to look at, and coincidentally, Konami's been really generous, and apparently, I think they started a new 28-day login campaign as of yesterday. So, it just I think they're trying to do what they can to retain the players and everything, and um, they've really been pushing real hard to try to quash bugs as quickly as they can, because uh, I know when I was at a point where I was logging in almost daily, just there'd be like error um, error corrections here and there, and just be like, hey, so if you do this one thing, if you do this one thing that leads to another thing, it might lead to a problem. Um, in the short term, we advise not doing this certain thing. We're going to try to fix this within 12 to 24 hours. And then sure enough, you log in 12 to 24 hours later, problem's been fixed. So it's just been really heartwarming to see just how much they really, really care about the game, and I for one am all for it.
so you had other things that you wanted to talk about too. You've been playing. I know. In terms of the gaming industry, it's an old game now, but it's not that old. What else have you been playing?
Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut.
Okay.
I will confess and say this, that when Ghost of Tsushima originally came out on PS4, I actually did not get a chance to play it. I ended up having to skip it at the time because I just didn't have the budget for it at the time.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to skip out on this and just check it out later. And that was just kind of where I left it off at. And then just um, saw the saw the whole announcement that director's cut was coming out, and I was like, okay, well, I wonder how much this director's cut thing is. And then, of course, uh, as we had mentioned with the rising cost of retail copies of video games, the
Oh,
director's cut on PS5 was a whopping $70.
I I don't get that at all. $70 for a 2-year-old game with just
Yeah,
with DLC. It's not like they made an entirely new framework or engine that to recreate the game on PS5.
yeah,
They just prettied up the visuals pretty much and charged an extra $30 to do it, which ugh, God.
yeah. So thankfully, I didn't pay the full $70. Luckily, last year I had a coupon for like I think 20% off of one video game at normal retail price at Target. So I was just like, you know what? I just got my PS5. Yeah, I need something that is truly just going to show off what the PS5 can do. And I never played Ghost of Tsushima, so you know what? 20% off of $70 for Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. Yeah, that'll do.
They also you probably haven't gotten to the extra content, right? You that takes a while.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the Icky Island content, which I think that content is recommended to be played post game,
Hmm.
is what I've been reading, but I'm barely to that point. Uh, Spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't played it. I just got to the castle assault where Jin frees his uncle and everything,
Mm.
and basically his uncle gives him the warning of, "Hey man, I've heard you've done some very unsavory killing and using methods that are not samurai approved. So you need to quit that and try to kill people the honorable way." And of course, Jin is having his disagreements with his uncle, going, "Dude, I'm trying to free Japan from the Mongols. I got to do whatever I can, man. And fighting honorably ain't gonna get us anywhere." And so, of course, his uncle's just like, "Well, don't do any unsavory shit, because um, I'm basically royalty, and you need to act like royalty. If you need to have dirty shit done, I have some associates that I can put you in touch with, and leave all the dirty shenanigans to them." So, and I think that would constitute as being like chapter one stuff, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I've barely just cleared chapter one of the game.
And that's probably going to be a game that with PlayStation right now, they're probably going to put that on PC probably another 2 years. So,
Yeah, I would say either 2 years, or hell, we might see some announcement by this summer at this rate.
by the way, there's a state of play for this coming Thursday, I believe, for Gran Turismo
Mhm.
7.
Yeah, Wednesday or Thursday, I believe.
I'm a fan of Gran Turismo, so I'm looking forward to it. I just don't I just don't know what they're gonna do to differentiate itself and better itself from Forza Motorsport, because I know some were disappointed about the last Forza Motorsport, but I like the series. Control wise and feel wise, it feels really good to play.
Yeah,
So,
Motorsport 7 was really fun,
mhm.
and I jumped off the Gran Turismo train when Forza Motorsport 4 came out. So just to
Whoa,
give you an idea of where I've been.
okay.
So I haven't really touched a Gran Turismo game since Forza Motorsport 4 and everything. But yeah, just Sony's social media team have been doing some teasers and stuff regarding Gran Turismo 7 and everything, and it's just stuff that's just kind of like, hey, that's neat, but are you guys doing anything more substantial, or is it just going to be another very very cut and dry sort of racing game like Gran Turismo has always been. Which, not to say anything against anyone who likes Gran Turismo, which that's a perfectly fine game to be into if you're into very, very dry, clinically sterile sort of simulation racing. But
I wouldn't call it clinically sterile. You're making it sound like it's a dentist office. I would say it's just it, but that's how a lot of people would say that. It's just it's a clinical, sterile. It's lacking in character and lacking in color. To me, it's just you're getting a simulation of what it's like to be in those types of things, just like any other sport would.
Well, I mean, for me, since I've actually been in the racing scene back when I had my old Miata and would go out to some of the weekend Miata races and stuff. It was fun. It was fun to be out in the races because, of course, every driver has their own personality, and that's why for me, Forza Motorsport was so interesting because back in Forza Motorsport 4, the creators of the game gave the named racers different personalities. So there was this one Italian guy who had a real fiery temper and would love to just sort of ride up on your tail and just do aggressive overtakes. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was kind of a fun concept to basically just, oh hey, it's that one guy. He's got the aggressive attitude. Okay, well, I gotta basically fight fire with this guy.
Oh, so it's the Drivatars is what you're talking about.
Well, in Forza Motorsport 4, this was proto Drivatars.
Oh,
okay. It wouldn't be until Forza Motorsport 5 that you would actually start getting the actual Drivatars, which would be basically player data compiled into like a living ghost that would continually evolve the more you got into all the different Forza games and everything. And that's where just when you get into stuff like Forza Motorsport 5, 6, 7, and then Forza Horizon 2, 3, 4, and now 5, the Azure service keep compiling all the driving data on each player, and just progressively as you go through the games, if you've got someone who plays the Forza stuff actively, then their player driver chart is just almost lifelike in some regards. It's really, really fascinating, and that's kind of what sort of has stuck me into playing the Forza stuff, because the driver chars feel so alive, rather than just sort of the clinical circuit racer model that is kind of modeled for all of the AI racers in Gran Turismo, which, again, nothing against anyone who likes just something that's a little bit more of a hardened simulation. That's perfectly fine, but I do like the fact that drivers now have a little bit of a personality now, and the personality that they take in the Forza games is the personality of my friends.
I just thought about this while you were talking, and Gran Turismo, this is going to be the first numbered Gran Turismo since the PS3, and since then, and since then, there's been 5 Horizons and I think 3 numbered Forzas. I think I might be wrong on that, but there's been a lot of iteration of Forza, and both their series and their spinoff. Is it time for Gran Turismo to maybe evolve out of being just a simulator? Or is there a room for, let's say, a Gran Turismo Horizon, where you can have a more arcadey version of Gran Turismo, or would that be antithetical to what the series is?
In my opinion, Gran Turismo would probably do well to have sort of a I hate using the term, but it's really the best term to use with regards to things, but having a more casual-friendly sort of arcadey racing experience probably wouldn't be a bad thing, because I know for years when Forza Motorsport was the only thing that Microsoft had, just I would rant and rave on just how I loved it. It was just more fun than Gran Turismo, and just it would be hard to get some of my friends who in real life are kind of casually into cars, but they felt that racing games were just way too hardcore for them. Just they would just go, well, yeah, sounds great. Sounds like it's um, less simulation heavy than Gran Turismo, but I don't think that's for me. And of course, I'm just like, oh, well, just you should give Forza a try. I think it's wonderful. And then of course, finally, when they start getting into the Horizon stuff, I'm just like, yes, this is exactly what I would probably recommend to my friends who are kind of into cars, but not really into racing games, because at this point I can just say, hey, so this is a racing game, but you've also got mini games like playing tag with your fellow friends. You can do stunts to break signboards and all sorts of really cool stuff. But this game is a celebration of just car culture in general. So you can sticker up your cars, you can mod them out, you can do whatever. You can attend virtual car meets with your friends. It's just a lot of fun, and of course, even with this new release of Forza Horizon 5, I've been able to convince some of my friends who've been hemming and hawing on jumping in on the Horizon stuff for years, and they're just like, oh man, just Horizon 5 looks awesome. Just I really want to get in on this. And then of course I tell them about the adventure stories where you'll do like a sort of story mission where you're trying to race against a storm to get to some ancient Mayan or Aztec ruins. I forget which, but basically you drive through a storm to get to the temple before the storm really hits. And then of course when you get to the temple, there's sort of a mini game of, hey, go find all these little things and in this temple area and take pictures of them. And granted, you can skip this part, but if you want the sweet bonus experience points, then yeah, you're gonna want to at least sit through the mini game, take pictures of the stuff, and then after you do that, it gets to the next leg of the mission of, oh yeah, so we got to go up to this area to meet up with all of our friends and everything, and just the whole adventure story stuff. I just thought was so neat, and really to bring it back to Gran Turismo 7 and everything. One of the things that a lot of car enthusiasts have said that they've liked about the last recent Gran Turismo games is that in the GT Auto shop, where you can customize and fix up the cars and everything, there's one cool feature that the guys over at Polyphony Digital have added to the GT Auto shop, and it's the fact that you can switch the factory stock wheels within a brand to different cars within that brand. So let's say you have a awesome looking Toyota Supra, the fourth generation one, and the fourth generation one has the thick 5-spoke wheels that look kind of dated for the modern day. But let's say you want to try to pick some wheels from one of the more recent Toyotas that kind of looks a little bit more modern, a little bit more up to date. Then you can do some goofy stuff like take the wheel design of the most recent Toyota GT86 and swap them onto this 1998 Supra 4th gen, and just kind of do things that way. And I know some of the German car nerds out there probably would have a ball with this, being able to swap like Volkswagen wheels from different eras down to some of their older models that had like really, really boring wheel designs. So that's kind of a cool feature, and I think if Gran Turismo ever did come out with a casual sort of entry, I'd probably at least give it a fair look and probably play around with it and everything.
Yeah, because I only thought about it because anytime Sony has tried to do this, to have like a casual or an arcade like racing series, it kind of is okay, or does okay sales, and it drops off like Motorstorm, or it just crashes and burns like Drive Club did.
Oh yeah.
So
and it's just really a shame.
to me, like the only chance they would have to do that is to take the Gran Turismo name, even maybe just call it GT something, and just give it a more arcadey feel, like they do with Forza Horizon. So that, to me, business wise, I would look at that and go, that makes sense to me. I know the purists would be like, that sounds horrible. That's antithetical to what Gran Turismo is. It is the real driving simulator. Let's be fair though. The real driving simulators are on PC, but let's we'll skip past that. But as a brand, Gran Turismo needs to branch out a lot more than where it is right now.
Yeah, I would even say that if they kind of wanted to go with a more Japanese street racing focus, then the dream for me would be something that involves the Japanese company Genki, who was behind the old Tokyo Extreme Racer series, or the Japanese title was Shitoku Highway Battle, which was all about like the illegal highway races on the Japanese highways and everything. Just if you had that sort of game, but just with all the hyper realism of just the Gran Turismo stuff, I think it would just be an absolute treat to play. Because just with highway racing, it's just kind of high speed, high stakes, trying to weave in and out of traffic and everything, and just with how much the Gran Turismo stuff can get really into the nitty gritty to stuff like oil condition, engine condition, tire condition, body integrity, and stuff like that. I just think something like an illegal highway challenge game with the backing and knowledge of the Polyphony Digital team would just be an absolute treat to play. And much like your thought, purists would probably brand me a heretic because I'm trying to capture something that clearly isn't realistically possible and everything. But I just think the idea of sort of like a highway racer game with just all the neat technological advances of the Gran Turismo series, I just think it would just be an absolute treat.
Okay, Zero, so let's move on from this, and let's talk about some of the news that's happened, some of the big news that's happened this week. There's one that we're going to wait till the end, so if you're waiting for that one, we'll get to it, don't worry. But we got one just today. Today's Tuesday from where we are right now, February the 1st, and that is to a game that is pretty much bombed. I would say pretty comfortably. To almost now, it's bombing to the point where even the gamers that have bought it are now fed up and pissed off about the game now, and that is Battlefield 2042. Today they announced that they're not going to have any new content or any new drops until the summer of this year, which will mean that for the past 8 months, they haven't had any new content for people who bought the game. Now, to be fair, Battlefield 2040, well, that's not to be fair, but to give you the full context, because who cares about fairness at this point? To give you the full context, Battlefield 2042 has been a bug-filled mess. It's had crashes, it's had problems with its telemetry, the engine dropping out, just all sorts of issues that it's had since day one. Now, Zero, what are your thoughts of what's going on right now with Battlefield 2042, and what does EA have to do to make it up to the players for what they've done?
Well, to speak of the state of the game, I think really the thing that makes it really ironic is the fact that you've got companies who are running cheat subscription services that have basically said that they are getting out of the cheat business for Battlefield 2042 because there's simply not a sustainable player base for them to maintain the ability to sell cheat subscriptions to the game. So a bunch of cheat companies that run subscription cheating services have basically said, don't ask for Battlefield 2042 support because we're not doing it.
how can you even ask for that kind of service when the game itself doesn't fundamentally work?
Yeah. So, but back on to the topic of the news that broke today. So the long and short of it is, basically, season one season pass content has been delayed until summer, and EA's teams have basically said that their focus will be on trying to fix the game. So, coming relatively soon for one of those fixes is a scoreboard feature, which should have been there on day one. A bunch of players have griped about this ever since the game launched.
A scoreboard?
It's only going to be recently. It's going to be soon to be added to the game.
And they're missing classes as well that they used to have, right?
Yeah, so classes got replaced by specialist characters, at least from what I understand. So I believe that they said that they're going to be doing some rejiggering with that. But basically, it's like what you had basically mentioned to sort of open up the topic. That they are going 8 months without any brand new content, and to that announcement. They're going to focus mainly on bug fixing and just cleaning up the game. And it's gotten a lot of people quite sour about the whole thing because online discussion, the consensus seems to be, okay, well, if you guys knew that this game was just a broken mess, why didn't you just delay it and put it in the oven longer to fix all these things so it wouldn't be a bug-filled mess?
Oh, I have the answer to that. That's an easy answer. We both know the answer to that.
For people like us who know how the sausage is made, the answer is easy. But for the common every gamer, they're scratching their heads. They're just like, we don't get it. Why release the game in this state when clearly it could have benefited from more time in the oven?
Because you'll buy it anyway. That's why.
Yep.
It's the sad truth. You'll buy it anyway. You've been so conditioned to buy a game day one that you must buy the game day one, that you'll buy it anyway, even though you'll be warned it's a buggy mess. It's not going to work. There are issues. You don't. That's why, and that's what companies generally hope for too. So
yeah, and to kind of piggyback on this whole announcement thing. So for anyone out there who really dropped some serious cash and really just put the money up for the gold edition or the ultimate edition, so you will be rewarded with basically just some premium skins for some weapons, one of the specialist characters, tank skin, and some profile badges. At least when I looked at it, they looked like they were profile badges, but that's about it. And basically, just those gifts will be to the premium edition buyers, and it's kind of their way of sort of thanking the players. And it's just like, I don't know that that's going to be enough to tide over a bunch of people who likely dropped $100, or I think the gold edition is either like $80 or $90 or something. I don't know the exact scaling. I don't have the game, so I can't speak to that.
It smells of they really didn't have a plan when it came to releasing the game. I think they were relying. I think they were really hoping that EA would just delay the game, and they said, "Nope, we have shareholders to take care of, so nope, you got to do it." But God, I mean, to not even have content ready is like it. I'll put it this way. If you had content ready, but you had to delay it to fix some issues, fine. but not to the point where you have to delay it till the summer, because that really smells like you not only did not have the game finished, you didn't even know what the hell you were going to have after the game was done.
Oh yeah, it just seems like it was sort of a, hey, well, Call of Duty is doing another release. We got to do something to sort of fill the gap on our end because we don't have something new and shiny that everyone's going to jump to. What do we do? Oh well, just let's release a Battlefield game. Okay, well, everyone's out of the whole World War II thing and World War I thing. What do we do now? Well, maybe we go modern. No, modern's out of the question. Hey, you guys remember Battlefield 2142 that had like futuristic combat and all this stuff?
That was a fun game.
Hey, yeah, same here. But basically, I imagine whoever was in like marketing or something was like, hey, why don't you do something like 2142, but a little bit more closer to recent times? I was just like, I guess 2042.
just put the Battlefield theme in there and call it a day. Come on.
Yeah. So, I'm assuming that was probably the logic of whatever marketing or market research guy was there, as sort of a, hey, how do we compete with Call of Duty? And that was kind of it. Even though Call of Duty sort of kind of went with something World War II adjacent with Call of Duty Vanguard, but Call of Duty just does what Call of Duty wants.
Yeah. There's one thing that we've discussed with this game multiple times, even before this announcement. And as a gamer, you should have been warned not to even bother with this right now. Wait until the price drops, or wait until they fix everything, more importantly, and then reassess whether you want to buy the game or not. But as the business, the people who are in the business that are trying to recoup their costs and make this a game that people will want to buy, or to play, I should say, what are some steps that they should do, aside from the obvious of fixing the damn game?
Yeah, so fixing the damn game, trying to take the player concerns a little bit more seriously, because stuff like the scoreboard has been stuff that was complained in.
How do you not have a scoreboard?
Yeah, I think people complained about it in the closed alpha, closed beta, and then the open beta phases. There were people complaining, saying, "Hey, you guys literally don't have a scoreboard. We don't know if our team is winning or if our team is losing. We see kind of a score counter that's on top of the screen, but we don't know where things are going wrong. We need some sort of way to track the Battlefield metrics and everything, and see what we need to do, which bases we need to take over, and everything." And of course, internet message board rumors say that the development team sort of just gave them hollow platitudes of, yeah, we hear you, we'll fix it, but not right now, just we've got other things we want to do.
Yeah.
So taking player concerns a little bit more seriously instead of just sort of blowing them off, probably be a good start. Secondly, maybe doing something that's a little better than, hey, so all of you premium tier people, you get something. Oh, but all of you regular plebes, you get nothing. That's gotta put a bit of a sour taste in anyone who bought the standard edition, and even more so because a lot of digital and brick and mortar stores have actually been putting severe price cuts on Battlefield 2042. I know last week, I think Target, Best Buy, Walmart, GameStop, and Amazon had the game for the regular game for like $30 off. So literally, you could get the game for $30 off, and some people were quite irate that just the one game that they may have dropped $60 on was already at a bargain basement $30.
I would hate to say this to those who were pissed off about that, but if you pay attention to sales and you pay attention to pricing after a game is released, no matter what the game is, it's going to go down pretty quick.
Oh yeah,
Whether it is a bomb like this or not. Like whether
Oh yeah.
whether the game, a game like this is not doing well, the price is going to go down. That's not even like the only thing that doesn't go down normally are Nintendo games. That's
Nintendo games and maybe Call of Duty games.
I would say in the past you'd be right on that. Vanguard and what was the last one? God, there's the Cold
Black
War.
Ops 4?
Yeah, the Black Ops Cold War, I think it was. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Those dropped in price pretty quick, I thought.
Yeah.
I might be wrong with Cold War, but Vanguard definitely did.
Yeah, Vanguard, I think, is the exception to the case because Vanguard's numbers weren't as great as some of the previous Call of Duty games. But yeah, just I think something to give to the standard edition player base instead of leaving them out in the cold. Because with the golden Ultimate Edition people getting a bunch of skins and stuff to quote thank them for their support, I would imagine anyone who bought the regular edition is probably a little bit salty about it, going, "Wow, so I got to pay $80 to $100 just to get some primo skins to thank me on supporting this game. Wow, that's kind of bull crap. I've been with the game since day one, so they should have announced something.
In the future, they're going to be NFTs anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's something that they could have done. Just something for the regular players to say, hey, thank you for sticking with us, even though just we're 8 months in and things aren't great with the game. Just here's some free stuff too. That would have probably lessened the brunt, but yeah, I haven't gone into the salt mine that is the Battlefield subreddit. I have no idea of what regular edition people think about this whole announcement either.
I guess the one big question I have in regards to EA and this game, do they put more money into the game?
That is a hard one.
And I hate to say this, but take away the people who've already bought the game, you have their money. That's the point. Is you want to continue to make more money, and of course, and you're not going to get it through cosmetics because no one's playing the game, and the game is a broken mess. The only way to get to this point now would be to put more money into the game in hopes that more people will come after you do that. Is that a smart investment for EA to do that?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question to see, because I almost worry that this may turn out to be a situation like Anthem all over again, where they put up a big game and put up some fancy looking roadmap documents and say, hey, look, we've got a plan. Here's what we're going to do with the game. We promise we're going to fix it. We're going to make it super cool, super primo, and you guys are going to love it. And then just maybe 3-4 months down the line, oh, so you remember how we made all that big talk about, really fixing Battlefield and everything? Turns out we changed our mind. We are no longer putting money into it, and we're disconnecting it. So any one of you who paid $60 full price for this game, sucks to be you. Oh, for you premium players who paid the price for the Gold Edition and Ultimate Edition, we're really sorry for you. But thanks for your $80, $100 or whatever you paid for the Super Premium Editions. And we're gonna keep the servers going along for a while, but don't expect us to fix anything. Don't expect us to do anything more other than just general support. And see you in the next Battlefield game. Bye.
Now, I would hesitate to think they would do that, only because Battlefield 5, which in fairness, Battlefield 5 was a much better game technically and was more reliable than 2042 was. But that had some really bad buzz behind it when it came out, and it hurt its sales. And they kept going with that game for about 2.5 years. Like they put more money into that game Whether it helped in the long run is beyond where I can see, but they did support the game for a long time.
Yeah,
But
and I'm probably one to agree with you that the likely situation is they're probably going to try to tough it out at least for 2 years, and then from there they might decide, hey, we are just going to move on to the next project. That's more than likely the likely scenario.
I think 2 years is generous.
Yeah.
I think they're going to stick it out this year. And
Yeah.
so rumors are true from what we're hearing. We're hearing from Twitter. We're not hearing from many sources that we have. Let's just put that out there. Free to play seems to be a serious option that they're considering.
Yeah, there have been some folks on Twitter that are within the games industry. They've been saying that supposedly EA is looking into, quote, drastic measures to turn around the player accounts in Battlefield 2042 because EA has come to concede to the fact that 2042's sales numbers have been less than great.
Yeah.
And they need to do something to give the game a shot in the arm. And a bunch of video game journalists have been pushing speculation and possible rumors that 2042 is going to go free to play. And it's very interesting to see that because I know there was one particular journalist, I forget who, had made the discussion about the whole free to play thing, and he was expecting that when EA makes their next big announcement, that it would be whenever they make the big announcement. And of course today was the big announcement of, hey, we're going to be fixing things. And of course
but in all fairness, Zero, that's not really a big announcement. That was a Twitter. That's what was a tweet with the Battlefield font saying, "Yeah, we fucked up. So we're gonna go fix it, and you guys just hang tight." Okay, thanks. That's
who it was. It was Tom Henderson. So Tom Henderson had made some speculation that free to play may be potentially on the table because EA has said internally that they are, quote, looking at all the options.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see because if Season 1's Season Pass content isn't supposed to be due until this summer, it'll be really interesting to see whether or not that will also coincide with the game going potentially free to play, because if it does, then I wonder how salty a lot of the players who may have either bought the game, the standard copy of the game, and then the Season Pass, or anyone who bought the more premium editions that came bundled with the Season Pass, how they're going to feel when their game just went completely free to play.
Oh wow! I just realized you just made me realize something.
Oh,
do they have to pay for that Season Pass?
Yeah, I believe the Season Pass is a whole separate thing.
Oh my god. Okay. Depending on the Season Pass and how that turns out, I think it's going free to play in November. I know we've talked we've talked before, and I said Season 1 is when it's going to be the free to play, but
yeah,
if Season 1 is part of a pass that people have to pay for, they're gonna want that money first. So I think after the Season 1, it'll be a free to play, which would probably be November, and then that's going to be their desperate move. It's going to piss off a lot of people, but it's going to get a lot of people to come back in, and by that point, they should have more modes. They should have a battle royale if they're going to have it, and see where it goes from there. And then by year 2, they should reassess from there. I mean, if they're going to put more money into it, put more money into it. But if you're going to just stagnate it and just say, "Oh, well, let's fix things first and then go," that's already a sunk cost fallacy, because you're now just taking. You're now just not sunk cost fallacy doesn't work on this one. You're now just giving people what they paid for a year later.
Yeah.
So it just, God, this is a messy situation. I mean,
Yeah, and just looked up the price for the season pass. They've got 2 tiers. They've got their standard season pass, and that's $40.
2 tiers for a piece.
So
Okay.
yeah, and
Okay.
then the quote ultimate tier, that's a whopping $60.
60. Okay. Well, all right.
And the only difference is with the ultimate edition version of the pass is you get a special skin bundle for your for your specialist character, and then you get a premium weapon skin, and then a premium vehicle skin, a digital art book, and a digital soundtrack. That's it.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Sure. Why not? Just whatever. It's just,
Yeah.
oh, God. You have 2 tiers of a season pass? God.
Yep.
I mean, I kind of understand the season pass, but you can pay extra $10 and get a jump on, like, a boost for that. And that is even, that's still scummy, but I understand the business rationale to that. Getting another
Yeah.
$20, paying another $20 and getting skins. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, this business is...
Skins and a digital soundtrack.
Oh, that's fucked. My evaluation, I'm going to stick with it. By end of year, but I'm saying November, by end of year, it's going to go free to play. I think it's the only way it's going to recoup money. And it's the only way it's going to allow to do these horrendous passes while still not being too scummy about it. And they're going to give the first season away for free. And then they're going to give something extra to the people who already bought the pass.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I would do in this situation. Because bear in mind, you need to keep making money. So, of course, my pie in the sky, gamer being gamer thing thought would be give it all away for free. That's the best way to do that. Yeah, I get that, but business wise, it's going to kill you. You can't do it. And with how EA is, they would rather kill the project entirely than do that. So, but I would give away the first season for free, give something extra to those who got the pass, and then go free to play by November. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I would say that's probably a fair assessment. I would even, at least in my mind, I would say maybe go free to play by August. Give them a giant shot in the arm with the numbers before whatever the next Call of Duty installment is, and then basically just for anyone who paid the regular gold or ultimate prices, just give them either a giant stack of microtransaction store money so they can buy whatever blinged out skins for their specialists, their weapons, their vehicles. Just give them a fat stack of microtransaction cash, because let's face it, the microtransaction cash, that's a drop in a bucket for them. They could give out like $300 in microtransaction cash. Won't even hurt them. And at that point,
knowing EA though, they would probably just give you It Takes Two for free.
Yeah. Or the other scenario that I could see is maybe by summer they just go, hey, we gave it the college try, we don't think it's worth it, so we're going to put the game on life support. For any of you who paid into the gold or ultimate tiers, we're going to give you a credit for the EA digital store if you bought it on PC or Steam, and maybe a PlayStation or Xbox Live credit for maybe one budget grade EA game, so like maybe $30 or $40 in credit to go buy something.
I don't. Not to argue with you, I think that's a decent idea. I don't think that would work. Only because people are gonna take the value of what they're getting and thinking it's worth more or less otherwise. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh
They're
yeah.
gonna think you're only giving me $20 for my $90 purchase. That'll be the thing that they're gonna say, like, oh, you're putting it free to play. You should give me all the money back. So that's not going to work.
Yeah, the reason I bring up this potential scenario is after seeing what happened with Hitman 3, where just they are basically saying, hey, we get it, the game's not great, the game's not performing well, so we're going to give you a credit, and the credit can go to like 2 options apparently with Hitman 3. And that's the reason I offer that potential scenario, because if EA just feels that they can't right the ship, then maybe that's how they kind of ease the brunt of the buyer's remorse or something.
No, I understand it. I'm just in a marketing sense and in a PR sense, you never want to give them straight cash. You just never want to do that, because there's always going to be someone who's going to think I should deserve more, and I'm going to sue you to get it. Yeah. You obviously fucked this up, so you should be giving me X amount more, or you should be giving me more than that. So legally and PR-wise, it's not a good move, but I understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, because in the Hitman scenario, basically anyone who's already bought Hitman 3 or bought the Hitman trilogy, basically here's what'll happen for them, and basically the timeline for this offer is until February 19th, and if you bought the standard edition of Hitman 3, then you get a free upgrade to the Hitman 3 Deluxe Edition. And then if you bought the Deluxe Edition or the Hitman Trilogy collection, then you'll get a free upgrade to the 7 Deadly Sins collection. So
that's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah, so that's kind of my logic with the whole EA and Battlefield 2042, that would be something similar to that sort of situation would be the absolute nuclear option of just, hey, we fucked up, this game is done, we tried, we can't fix shit, so out to the trash this goes. And then just, oh, did you buy one of the premium tier editions? Well, here's a credit to buy one game out of the EA Play Store on PC, or here's a voucher that can be used on PlayStation Network for any EA games that valued at $20 or $30 or $40 maybe. Just something to sort of ease the pain is probably going to be sort of a nuclear option.
Yeah. So we're basically saying this game is toast.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate to see it, but just with the fact that they've just been sort of ignoring player concerns for the longest time, I just don't know if just making things right is gonna magically just get players to start cramming themselves back into the servers to play,
or to shell out money.
Yeah,
because let's face it, that's what they're really. When they do this stuff and they say they're sorry and they try to make good by the players, they want to make a way to get more money from you. So I agree. I don't see that there's any other way they'll get to that point.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to what will probably be our final topic. Our first episode that we had here was a big purchase that was made for gobs and gobs of money. And what happens the next week? Another purchase for gobs and gobs of money. And just we're lucky for this, because this past Monday, on the 31st of January, Sony decided to buy Bungie for $3.6 billion. That is, was it $2.4 billion less than what was paid for Bethesda? And let's not even get with Activision. That's a whole different story. But anyway, what are your thoughts of the purchase of Bungie from Sony?
It's a little interesting. So, as someone who did play Destiny 1, played a lot of Destiny 2.
I did too.
basically just I was so used to the whole, hey, this is the game to play on PlayStation because PlayStation will get everything first. You want the sweet Hawkmoon gun? Well, you got to play it on PlayStation because no other place to get it. And then, of course, in the fine print, oh yeah, the Hawkmoon will be coming out in year number 2 to the other platforms. But yeah, it just sucks to be you other players on Xbox and PC. For Destiny 2, if you want the Hawkmoon, suck it up, go buy a PS4 and buy a PS4 copy of the game. So, was used to the shenanigans there, and then when Bungie had made the announcement of, hey, we're going independent, we're breaking off Activision and whatnot, it was just kind of a, hey, good for them. They're doing their own thing, maybe with doing their own thing, maybe the microtransaction store won't be as predatory, to put it, compared to how the microtransaction store was under Activision's wing, and boy, was I wrong.
Yeah.
So that was its own mess, and then just it's just been a constant cycle of, in my opinion, player abuse, where just you'll have the golden honeymoon phase where just everything's good, the gameplay's great, mechanics feel great, the PvP feels good, even though I'm not the best at PvP these days. Mm-hmm. And then, everything will be pretty good. Then Bungie will put out an update, and then that update messes things up, screws up the balance, screws up something. Player base gets upset. Player base says, hey, Bungie, why'd you change a thing? You changed it to be objectively worse than how you had it before. Why don't you fix things so it feels as good as it did before? And of course, you'll have that one person at Bungie who will come out and say, well, suck it up. You guys are playing the game wrong. Just play the game like we want you to, and, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. So, months of players screaming. Yeah, months and months of players screaming upon the deaf ears of Bungie happen, and then Bungie puts out another PR video going, hey, so we might have screwed up, and you guys might have been right. So we're going to fix the thing to be like how you said you wanted it to be, and things will be hunky-dory, right? And then they put out the update, and it's like the cycle starts over again, and we're back into the golden honeymoon phase. And I just couldn't deal with it after a couple cycles. I was just like, nope, I'm done. Sorry, I got to get out of this game. And for Sony to pay as much as they did, I want to say it's almost an overvalued purchase. That it's got a price that doesn't really match the hype that Destiny used to have.
Unless the other IP that they're working on is so, like, it's rumored to be an online multiplayer game. Unless that IP is so mouthwatering that it's gonna help the value of what Bungie is. You're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right. The cost of $3.6 billion you basically bought for one game, and that's Destiny. Yeah. That's Destiny 2, and that's all Bungie is doing is Destiny 2, except for that rumored other game that they're doing that no one knows anything about. And even if you put that other IP down there, you still have two IPs. For $6 billion, I'm pretty sure $6 billion is the amount. For $6 billion, Microsoft got Bethesda and ZeniMax, which had so many different IPs.
Oh yeah, totally. And
you can milk any of them for whatever you want. In fact, they have ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, that is making decent money for them. And then you have all the Elder Scrolls. You have the Outer Worlds. You have all these different types of gaming properties that you can use. And Wolfenstein, Doom. You have all these different. That was only worth $6 billion, and you're paying 3.6 for one game.
Yeah.
Unless the sales of these expansions are so good, we're not realizing it.
Yeah, I think I saw a metric earlier this afternoon that the newest expansion has already gotten like 1 million pre-orders apparently. So I don't know what all that means. If it's 1 million over all platforms or something, but yeah, the Destiny social media account has basically said, "Hey, so thanks for all 1 million of you all who pre-ordered the new Witch Queen expansion. So we'll see you on February 22nd." So
And that's how much? $40?
that's a good question. I haven't kept up with how much the expansions are,
I'll find
and
out.
I know with Destiny, they always have tiered versions of the expansions. So there's probably like a regular edition, a premium edition, and
The
everything
the
else.
PC version of Destiny 2, The Witch Queen, is $40. If you want the deluxe version, it's $80. And if you want that with a 30th anniversary edition, it's $100. Which, Jesus
Yep.
Christ, why would... God, pricing is terrible. And then in 2 years, you won't be able to access it. Another gripe I have with Destiny 2.
Yep, the weird retirement of some of the significant story battles and everything, and unfortunately, I have some friends who are, for lack of a better way of putting it, Destiny apologists.
Uh-oh.
So they're just like, oh well, they have to retire the old content because it was built in old spaghetti code, and
Oh, God.
and who the fuck cares about the old missions
You're using the
story?
same code. For the expansions, you're using the same damn code.
Yeah, and the reason the apologists will say is, oh well, you don't need to play the missions. Just find some guy on YouTube who's got the summary of the importance of the story mission and who's played it to hell and back and has completed it. There's no reason for you, John Q. Public, to need to replay the mission to understand the story. I'm just like, okay,
The point of
that's
playing
an interesting thought.
the point of playing Destiny 2 at first was the story was I'll be honest, the story was decent for Destiny 2, but it's nothing earth-shattering. The point was to replay those things, to level up more, to get more engrams, to get more weapons, to get more loot, to the point where you can do the raids and you can do all the other content. You want to replay those so you can get more stuff.
Yep.
If you're now limiting the places where I can get my stuff, then you're just making the game much more repetitive for no reason other than just to say, we don't want you to go into this one. Okay. They can give all the... God, they can give all the reasons they want when it comes to why they're sunsetting different planets and different things in the game. Give me all the excuses that you want. You need to still make my purchase worthwhile when you do that. If you're going to say, well, we have to sunset this here, we have to sunset this, but even though the next thing will be $40, we'll drop it down to 20 for those who have this. Then you can curb it a little and be like, okay, fine. Or have some legacy content on there, like weapons or new maps or maps that remind you of those areas or whatever that will go there. The story for Destiny 2 is not great. It never has been. So that's not the reason why you want to return to those areas. You want to return to those areas so it seems less repetitive to get more of those engrams and get more of that stuff. At least that's for me.
Yeah, and when I tried to make the counter argument to one of my Destiny apologist friends, I was like, well, there's some people like me who kind of get into the story from playing the story, that watching the story just doesn't have the same impact for me, that I don't get the gravity of this significant story event just by watching some guy's little YouTube playthrough of it, of how he got through the mission, and then his sort of analysis of the mission. That I'm the person who wants to play it for myself, come to my own conclusions on what the significance of this particular mission meant, and what are the implications story-wise for it. And he was like, "Oh, well, your types are rare dime a dozen." I'm just like,
No, they're not. No, they're not.
No, they're not, friend. No, they're not.
No,
and of
they're
course,
not.
he's like, just, yeah. There's no point for you to play the old missions. They suck anyways. I'm just like, how the, I don't know how you just came to that logic when I just told you that I'm a person who...
They're a waste
who
of money,
understands the
says the
story.
person who wasted all his money on Destiny 2.
Yeah. So it's just like, so what are you trying to say? That you really just shouldn't play Destiny 2 because the story sucks? Then what is the motivation to play? And if you're going to say loot grind, well, I hate to tell you, but the drop rates in Destiny haven't been great.
No, they have not been. And that's the other thing. The loot grind is non-existent too, because to get the best weapons, you're not doing loot grinds. Aren't you doing like different types of missions just to get the uniques?
Well, so you have to try to get yourself geared up to a minimum gear score, and then from there you get into the raid loop cycle, which is you play through this one raid, and supposedly the one raid will give you a guaranteed unique or an epic item if you get to the end of the raid for that week. But the problem is, once you clear that raid for the week, you can't play it again. So basically it's just kind of a, okay, well, I got my loot for the week, I guess I'm gonna shut this game off. At least that's how it was when I last played. I want to say back in 2018, 2017, maybe 2019. I forget when I exactly just quit, but I remember that was how sort of the raid content was, which was just, hey, you can only complete it once for a unique epic or epic or legendary item, and then after that it was just like, okay, well, my weeklies are done, I guess I'm just gonna shut off the game and wait until the reset, log back on, do a thing, and log right back off. And it was just a really, really slow grind to basically get yourself capped out to the maximum gear cap.
I didn't even get into raids, so
yeah. Yeah, I'd gotten into them at one point and everything, and it would just be really frustrating, especially if you got a duplicate of something. That would be annoying. Or plain just getting a piece of equipment, either that wasn't part of the spec that you're trying to build, or even worse, a class that you don't play or you don't put time into. Those were the two annoying case scenarios. So nothing... and for full disclosure, I used to play a gunslinger hunter quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So nothing like doing one of the raid or dungeon, the elite dungeons, and getting through the end, beating the boss with a group of friends, and then when you see the little loot explosion of the engrams and everything, you see that one orange or purple engram, and you're just like, oh man, I can't wait. Big money, and I would crack into it. Instead of being the gunslinger piece that I needed, it'd be like, oh hey, so here's the Shadow Touch Hunter piece from this dungeon, and I was just like, great, thanks game, I've wasted my fucking time.
Well, that is the basis of loot games to a certain extent, but yeah, and I've heard the raids, they last a while. Don't they?
Oh yeah. Thankfully, there is a checkpoint system for the raids, so if you don't get through them on that day, then you have at least 1 week before the reset to complete the raid.
Jesus Christ! It takes that long.
So, if you're with a really good group, you could probably get a whole raid done within 4 hours. And the crew I used to roll with, they were pretty good, so
Okay.
we would easily get things done within 4 hours. But nothing like burning 4 hours of your time getting the wrong piece or a duplicate of what you already have and going, all right, great. So I'm just going to dismantle this for parts, and I guess I'll try next week.
Ooh, Glimmer! Whee!
Yep.
Well, we're about to go into Lost Ark next week, so I guess I shouldn't be complaining too much.
Yeah.
But God, back to the business part of all this and the sale. I mean, we can gripe so much about Destiny 2. How is a game that plays so well have so many problems? But when it comes to the business side of this, Sony has already gotten out there and said that they're not gating Destiny 2. It's going to be on all platforms, and all contracts are going to be kept the way they are at this point. Which people are saying now, oh, that means that they're never going to go just to PlayStation, which I call BS on that.
Yeah.
I think once Destiny 2 is done, that's when they start gating Destiny 3 to be on PS5 or on the PlayStation family of consoles. And just say, you want to play Destiny 3? Bam, right there.
Yeah, and that's kind of the similar case that I made with Activision, that while Activision and Microsoft have said, hey, well, we plan to honor our contractual obligations that Call of Duty will be available on PlayStation, and PlayStation will be the official partner for major tournaments. The thing is, the Call of Duty contract only has 2 years left, and then after that contract's done, then the ball is in Microsoft's court if this whole Activision deal goes through, and if it does, Microsoft can easily turn it around and go, okay, so we're going to do a similar Destiny situation. All of the cool, brand new, shiny content is going to be first on Xbox and PC copies bought on the Microsoft Store. If you buy it on Steam or any other platform, well, have fun holding out for 1 year until you get the new shiny content.
Yeah.
And then conversely, I could see something like that happening with
Zero. Let me interrupt you. They canceled that.
Interesting.
Let me double check. But I believe they did cancel the exclusives on the PlayStation. Yeah, it was also announced that Destiny 2 will no longer be burying content behind exclusivity. Meaning there are no exclusive content deals between PlayStation and Destiny 2 going forward every platform. That's 2019. Shit.
Yep. So that was 2019 for the whole Destiny gating stuff behind the PlayStation wall for up to a year.
The Witch Queen will not have any platform exclusives, and Bungie's plans for the games are unchanged through 2024. So no exclusives.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So for 2 years, so it's almost similar to the Call of Duty situation where the Call of Duty contract goes up in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be interesting to see what happens in 2 years with Destiny 2 or whatever the next project for Bungie is, if that will go back to the whole 1 year gating shenanigans of, oh yeah, you want the best gear, you want the best guns, well, you got to play on PlayStation.
Yeah.
So would not be surprised if we see a return to those shenanigans, which, just what a headache.
I think, honestly, by the time that comes around, you're not going to see exclusive items from Destiny 3. I think you're just going to see Destiny 3 just on PlayStation.
Yeah, especially if we've got platform holders completely buying out development studios and publishing houses, then yeah, it could just be complete platform exclusives, like exclusive to PlayStation for now. We'll release a PC version in 1 or 2 years. So PC players, suck it. Either go and buy our console or just deal with the fact that you're just going to miss out on this new shiny game on our new shiny box.
I don't think they would take it away from PC. And the reason why is because they don't see... I don't see PlayStation looking at PC as a competition point anymore.
No.
They're taking their time with their ports of PC games, but they're not cheapskating those ports. They're putting money and time into it, and if they can continue to do that with Destiny 3 and Destiny. Well, I'm just going to say Destiny 3 because Destiny 2 it's going to be on there. With Destiny 3, I don't see a reason why they would want to take all that firepower that they have and just throw it away, where you can still make money off of PC.
Yeah, so I can definitely see something like that. Not, I mean, that would be the extreme nuclear scenario. Just Sony being so arrogant with their position with PS5 to go, well, oh, you PC players, if you want to play our newest creation, you gotta go buy a new PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 6 or whatever. So I mean that might be a potential scenario, but that's absolutely nuclear option in my opinion. But the likely scenario will be kind of like what you mentioned with their PC ports, which will be, hey, it might be delayed for maybe a year, 6 months or so, and they'll release a PC port that's actually gotten a lot of TLC put into it, lots of granularity on graphic options, and yeah, it'll be delayed, but delayed is better than never. So I imagine most PC players will probably be fine with that, but that's the likely scenario that I see with Sony buying up Bungie. Just whatever Bungie's next creation will be, it'll be likely PlayStation only, and probably either a release on the Steam store, the Epic store, whichever one gives Sony the better profit-sharing deal. So that's more than likely the likely scenario.
So with that all said, let's talk about the price. We jumped on it a little bit and we said it was overvalued. I agree with you. I think this was... You could have bought this for $1.5 billion, maybe.
2 would probably be what I would say would be maybe a fair value. 1.5 might be a little more fair, but could be seen as lowballing. But just the number that they paid, it just seems just absolutely astronomical just for one singular game, when at almost double the price, Microsoft bought ZeniMax Entertainment, which covers all the games under the Bethesda label and the ZeniMax label, and then a bunch of the IP in the ZeniMax brand. So from id being there with Doom and all that, just Microsoft got a better deal on that purchase, and it just seems like Sony sort of got taken for a ride for this deal. And I believe Jim Ryan came out today saying, no, don't worry, this is not us making a counterstrike at Microsoft purchasing Activision Blizzard. We've been in the works on this deal to purchase Bungie for the last 6 months. So take that for what you will.
Okay, so I just looked up the net worth for Bungie. Jesus Christ. Okay, maybe maybe they paid less than they should have. Net worth for 2022 is $2 billion for Bungie. And they have over 700 employees.
Interesting.
And they paid $3.6 billion. The founder, the founders don't really mean anything. They are a for-profit company, of course. And Bungie is not... Oh, that's the thing I'm thinking about. Bungie is not a traded company. So...
Yeah, private ownership, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so they... Basically, the owners are getting double the amount of what they're worth. I still think it's too much.
Yeah, considering other than Destiny, the only things that they have that are things that they directly own would be Oni, which was sort of a 3D adventure game, and that was developed by their satellite studio in California. And then you have the RTS games Myth, The Fallen Lords, and Myth Soulblighter, which that IP has been asleep for a few decades now.
Wait a minute, are you talking about Oni, the one with the anime girl?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I thought that was a Take-Two, or that was a Rockstar, or did Rockstar published that? Okay.
Published, yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, it was the PS2 was ported by Rockstar, but the game itself for Windows and Mac was actually developed and believe published by Bungie themselves.
God, that's a blast from the past. Jesus.
So you have Myth: The Fallen Lords and Myth 2: Soulblighter. So just real-time strategy games, not really not really a category that's in vogue right now. And I don't know if they'd be able to just reboot that into something else, or maybe turn the lore into some sort of like third-person action game, maybe. So there's that. And their game Abuse was released to public domain, so don't really see them doing anything with that.
Nah. I mean, like we've already discussed, they're buying this for Destiny, and they're buying it for whatever the other IP is.
Yeah, and just looking at the back catalog of IP, I just don't know what all could be like just a big selling point. Maybe the entire Marathon trilogy could be rebooted or something. Kind of like with the Halo Master Chief Collection. Maybe that's that's a plan that's in the works, like a whole PS4, PS5 collection of Marathon 1, Marathon 2 Durandal, and Marathon Infinity just being bundled together and just kind of released out, sort of like what Microsoft did with the Halo Master Chief Collection. Maybe that's cool something they could do. Yeah, maybe that's something that's in the cards. And even for me, that's sort of stretching it. I just don't know what in the world that they could just kind of just drop as a bombshell to say, hey, look, we got something cool that is something that we're working on.
I wonder if Bungie is in some sort of trouble right now. Obviously, sales-wise, they're not. They're selling very well with Destiny, but there must have been some other technical issue that was going to drop that was going to piss their players off.
Yeah.
Because you just got out of a situation with Activision that you said was hurting your game. Now you're partnering up with Sony, unless they're going to be as hands-off as they say they are, which most likely they are, for a little bit. There's got to be something that Sony is giving them that caused them to sell Bungie 2 years. It has been 2 years since they got out from Activision.
I believe so. That's a good question. So, yeah, January 2019 that Bungie would be ending its partnership with Activision.
3 years. Okay.
Yep.
God. I don't know. I think Sony overpaid. I'm really wondering why Bungie was for sale. Because if Bungie was doing as well as they say they've been doing, they wouldn't want to be sold. And by the amount they're sold by, if the numbers are true by how much they're worth, they didn't sell to a big enough payday. They sold to not even nearly half of what they're not even close to double or close to double to what they're worth. So, whereas Activision, which again, publicly traded company, they they were able to get sold, have their price, their index jump after they get sold, and it's going to be more money than they're going to get more money from Microsoft as well from their sale. So I don't get the sale. I honestly don't. And it's not like Destiny 2 is a big enough brand where they can. They're not big enough to be a Minecraft or to be an Elder Scrolls or not an Elder Scrolls. You know what I'm saying? They're not a Minecraft, a Roblox, a Fortnite, where people know instantly what it is, even if they're a gamer or not. It's just not that big of a property. And judging by how both games have been, both Destiny 1 and 2, it won't be, because the word of mouth of those games are mixed. There's some who love it, and there's others who are like me and says there's good things about it, but they have so many problems.
Yeah. And I know one of the hypothetical scenarios that I would love to see happen is, at least with consideration to Sony announcing that Bungie would be completely independent and would not be part of the PlayStation Studios brand, and Sony's investment is more just to help Bungie hire more developers and expand their work on the Destiny games universe and whatever planned games that they have for the future. With that in mind, I would love, and this is total moonshot territory, but I would love to see a Killzone game that is done with both Guerrilla Games and Bungie working on it together, because the Destiny shooting feel is so good. Just when you just switch to like a rocket launcher and you just shoot the rocket launcher in Destiny 2, man, it felt good. It just felt like devastation was in your hands when you blew up stuff, or if there was just a giant horde of hive enemies, and you had like a submachine gun and you were just shredding through hive. That just felt excellent, and love the gun feel and stuff like that. But at the same time, I love the Killzone games universe, but the shooting is nowhere near as close as good feeling as it does in Destiny 2.
Well,
but yeah, just something that combines just all that would be the dream for me.
if I recall correctly, Killzone, you were more of a hulking beast of a person with a gun than you were a nimble, light, and kind of agile warrior than you are in Destiny, right?
That was until Killzone Shadowfall, which was a launch PS4 game. And Killzone Shadowfall, you played sort of like a stealthy Black Ops sort of agent, but you had like a drone, and the drone could do things like a stealth incapacitate enemies and stuff like that, or the drone could go out and do recon and mark targets for you and stuff like that. So it was a Killzone I thought was pretty fun. A complete change from sort of the hulked out sort of super soldier that you played in the previous Killzone games and everything, and it was fun. But yeah, just the gameplay feel of the guns just didn't have quite the same sort of like emphasis on the weapon matching its level of devastation and everything. And I think if they got Bungie involved on a Killzone game, for me that would just be an absolute dream to play, because just having the weapons have much more emphasis on just how much destruction you're about to cause and everything would be just something absolutely fun to have in Killzone, and especially with something that's more in line with what Shadowfall was, but just also the mobility in Destiny was great too. Just being able to sort of like double jump over things, slide past enemies, and just all sort the movement the movement tech in Destiny 2 was just so much fun, and it's still something I miss to this day, even though I don't ever plan to go back to Destiny 2 ever. But yeah, would love to see a collaboration project between Guerrilla Games and Bungie for a new Killzone game, but that is complete moonshot territory. Probably will never happen.
So to close this out, Jim Ryan is the president of Sony Entertainment or PlayStation. Has already said there's more acquisitions coming. So, and we already know that there's more acquisitions coming with Xbox. God, love inflation. Jesus Christ. Where do you think this is gonna? Who do you think is gonna get sold next? Is it gonna be a smaller studio that's more of a second-party studio, like it happened with Bluepoint and with Housemarque, or is it gonna be a bigger one?
Well, this is probably going to sound like a completely extreme situation, but the only way that this would happen is if the U.S. headquartered PlayStation division can convince the Sony headquarters in Japan to help leverage them with cash for this purchase. But if Sony really wanted to make an alpha strike against the Xbox brand, then if they were able to borrow some capital from Sony Japan's headquarters, and Sony Japan's headquarters is really, really quite well off, and they have the funding to do this. But if they were to borrow from the Sony corporate headquarters purse out in Japan, maybe a complete buyout of Square Enix could be in the cards, but that's only if they could borrow money from the PlayStation, the Sony headquarters of Japan's purse.
Wouldn't you be buying a lot of different things with Square Enix, though? You're not only getting the games, you're getting their music, their movies, you're getting a lot of IP there. You're also getting a lot of IP, and there's a relationship there, which sort of makes sense. But I think Square Enix would probably evaluate their sale a lot higher than what their worth is.
Yeah. I imagine that it's not a likely scenario that'll happen, because Square Enix would likely say, "Oh, well, we're worth triple or quadruple of what our company's total market cap on the Nikkei is." But again, this would be just absolute, let's completely nuke the landscape between us and the Microsoft Xbox brand. Would be just completely buying up Square Enix. And the only reason I make that mention is with respect to a recent discussion with some Square Enix folks a few weeks ago about what all Square Enix was bringing to Xbox. And one of the folks who had answered the question was like, "Oh, well, we've got stuff coming, like, Strangers in Paradise is coming to Xbox, and we've got a few other games that are coming to Xbox." And of course, the elephant in the room was, okay, well, that's great. We've known that Strangers in Paradise Final Fantasy Origins is coming to Xbox because there was a open beta for Xbox. But what about Final Fantasy 16? And of course, it was just, PR chicanery. Just, oh, well, it'll be first on PlayStation, but, we really don't have any further information to provide at this time. And if there is further information, we'll talk about it later when it becomes available. So it just sounded like that there was a soft exclusivity, or PlayStation paid them a good king's ransom for a soft exclusivity for Final Fantasy 16 to be PlayStation only, and then just to shut out the Xbox brand from even getting Final Fantasy 16. So if if that's something that's going to move PS5 units, then yeah, Final Fantasy mainline games would probably be a one reason to try to borrow money from the head Sony office out in Japan and say, hey, you guys broker the deal with Square Enix and just buy out the company completely. So I could see that being a potential option. And then um, maybe on a smaller scale, I would say maybe either form a business partnership with EA or maybe even Ubisoft. So not a complete buyout, but just a large financial contract saying, hey, for the next 5 years, you make PlayStation the premium platform for your games, and that'll be that because um, Sony. Even the PlayStation division, I don't believe, has the capital to just completely buy out EA. I think it would just have to be sort of a publisher platform sort of partnership in that case, and I believe the same case for Ubisoft. But yeah, as far as who they'd buy up, maybe some smaller dev studios, maybe. But
Yeah.
I just don't see any sort of like large war chest sort of buyouts. Whereas Microsoft has the Azure business division, which prints money, and they can easily go to the Azure division and say, hey, so can we borrow some of the money you guys made and buy another gaming studio? And if the business case is made, then likely the CEO of Microsoft would probably sign off on it and go, okay, Xbox guys, there you go, money's yours, go buy whatever you're going to buy. So,
Just to put things in perspective, the Square Enix is worth $2.9 billion US. They are at 332 billion yen, and that's what and they're at a stock price of $24.15. I don't see them selling.
yeah, I don't either. That, like I said, but that would be just absolutely let's nuke the entire board sort of an option.
Like for them to sell, I would say they would have to not only they would obviously have to go past the 3 billion yen, $3 billion. They would have to double the amount of stock price that they currently have, which would put it up to about, and I'm guesstimating here, I'm probably wrong on this, $11 billion, maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
And they have 5,100 employees. And again, Square Enix not only does video games, they do all sorts of multimedia conglomerate stuff. So you're not only taking their gaming, you're taking everything with it, which Sony could do, but
especially since the Sony Japan market cap is right at 16.4 billion. So just with a stock price of $13,230 per share on the Japanese Nikkei stock market.
I mean, it's worth thinking about because they can always break up Square Enix if they want to.
Yep, they could easily just sell stuff piecemeal, but keeping it whole would work out for Sony in this hypothetical scenario because Sony has their own music division, so the Square Enix music and soundtrack division could easily be shuffled under the Sony Music brand.
Yeah. My guess, for PlayStation specifically, I think Capcom is probably where the next sale would be if they're going to do a big sale. Their market cap is at 4.9 billion as of 2 weeks ago. You can buy that for about 11, and then you can 11 or 12, and you would have, let's say, you would have fighting games pretty much to yourself at that point.
Fighting games, their back catalog of arcade beat 'em ups,
Yeah, and
and
you'd
then
have
some other
Monster
niche
Hunter.
arcade games.
You
Yeah,
you would have Monster Hunter, which is one of the most important IPs in the past 5 years. Monster Hunter ballooned in the past 5 years thanks to Monster Hunter World. So you would have a very important IP there that could be worth half of their market cap.
yeah. That and also there's also a good point to be made about Sony potentially buying Capcom because Street Fighter V was co-financed by Sony, and that's why
Right.
the only other platform Street Fighter V showed up on was PC. Xbox and Nintendo platforms were completely skipped. So um, Capcom could easily be one that could be on the potential buy list, and uh, but even then, just Capcom's asking price might be a little bit on the high side, especially since the sales number came out. The sales numbers came out for Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil Remake 2, and a few of their other more recent games, and the numbers are looking good for all of those games. So that's likely driving the price up on the Japanese stock market for Capcom. So I would imagine that um, if they're going to buy Capcom, either they've already engaged in discussions currently, or there will be discussions coming up very soon about trying to buy them up.
Oh my god. Guess how much Roblox is worth?
Probably too much.
Okay, Roblox is worth 45 billion. And who's down there? EA is 38 billion. Take-Two is 18 billion. Roblox with one game is worth 45. The next one up is Nintendo at 55 billion.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. And that game sucks.
Child labor the game.
Oh, man. But yeah, like, and another one that might be up for sale after having, let's say, a not so great hit to the reputation in the past year or two. CD Projekt, they're worth 4.9 billion.
Ooh, yeah, that could easily be a potential target, especially if Sony wants to expand their catalog of Western brand games, because let's face it, with Microsoft and the Activision Blizzard purchase, they've got a solid lock on Western developed and published titles. There's still, I believe, goodwill towards the Witcher series. I think Gwent is still being seen as an okay thing. Cyberpunk has thrown them in the gutter.
Cyberpunk is they're still trying to fix that, aren't they? They had to delay the next gen port because they're still working on it.
Yep. So they're still trying to fix and quash bugs. The whole multiplayer thing that they were teasing before the launch of the game, that has been canceled completely. And
they canceled that. Okay.
Yeah, they completely killed the multiplayer thing, and then the fact that the next gen ports have been delayed, that's another thing that sort of just tossed more wrenches into their giant list of problems. So yeah, I could see them possibly picking up CD Projekt just to sort of expand on their Western game catalog. And what a way to do it than to go, hey, well, we bought the guys behind The Witcher. You guys remember The Witcher, right? Y'all love that game.
Well, so, as long as inflation keeps going higher and higher as it's been for the past 9 months, and what it's sounding like is it's going to, we're going to see more acquisitions, because the more you hold on to that money, the less it's worth. So,
yep.
Oh, God. So, more companies are probably going to be for sale. I would assume more smaller companies are gonna be swallowed up. I don't know what those are gonna be, to be completely honest, because there's so many of them. But yeah, I. What about the guy who does Stardew Valley? Something
Concerned Ape?
Concerned Ape, yes. That's a. I know it's one guy. I know it's a couple of people. But wouldn't Stardew Valley and what their next game is going to be worth $75 to $100 million?
I don't know about that much. Maybe a couple 100,000 since it is a one-man operation. Because I believe it's a one-man operation. What requires the extra bodies is when he has to port the games to other platforms.
I'm just going to check something real quick. Let's go for a blast of the past. Okay, 7 years ago, there was a game that was sold to Microsoft for $2.5 billion. Do you know what that game is?
Oh, jeez. Not Minecraft, since that Minecraft was significantly more money.
No, you're right. It's Minecraft.
Oh, jeez. I thought they paid more.
Oh no, they paid $2.5 billion, which is 20 times the profit that Mojang was making in 2013.
Wow,
that's $126 million. If I were any of these companies, if I were Microsoft, Nintendo, I would be scooping up that guy now. Because no matter where his game goes, whether it's on PCs, on consoles, on tablets, on phones, Stardew Valley makes money. It makes so much money. And they have a trailer for The Haunted Chocolatier, which tells you nothing, but it's probably going to be another Stardew Valley in a sort of way, and people are salivating over it. I'd say buy Concerned Ape for close to $1 billion and see where that goes. Unless he's not for sale, which in that case, the guy's smart. You don't sell. But I remember Minecraft selling for so much because what was the guy's name? He wanted to sell it. He wanted to get rid of the property. He wanted to be out of the game. I'm sorry?
Notch,
thank you. Notch was sick and tired of the gaming industry, and he said, I want out. Pay me.
Pay me, I want to be a hermit with my money, just get me out of it.
Yep. So that guy is not... the guy who runs Concerned Ape, he's not doing that, so... I don't know. To me, I would be knocking on his door trying to come up with a price to say, we want your game lock, stock, and barrel. We want you lock, stock, and barrel. Whatever you're doing. I don't care how long it takes. Just give me the money. We'll give you the money. You come with us.
Yep. And there's an old saying that a wiser man once told me. Everyone has their price. The question is, how high is that price?
What's not the $1 million man who said that?
So, I mean, if Concerned Ape is hurting for capital, then yeah, I mean,
they can't be though. They can't be.
He's probably not. But I mean, if for some reason he's burning through capital faster than predicted, then yeah, just at that point, any of the big platforms should be banging on his door, sending people over with like catered breakfasts and lunches and stuff, trying to wine and dine him and say, so how much to get you to play on our team?
To me, that is perfect for any of these companies. One person, they run their own studio, and they have so much goodwill. it would work. It would be perfect. But that's also the reason why, if I were that guy, I wouldn't do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Unless the offer was so astronomical. Like I said, if they threw $1 billion at him, I was that guy, I would say yes. I was like, yeah, okay, $1 billion, fine, I'm out. I'm with you. Cool, whatever.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, $1 billion? Okay, cash me out. Let's go.
I wouldn't say cash me out. I would say, well, yeah, I think I would cash out at that point too.
Yeah,
But
at that point, just go live the life of a hermit. Do whatever you want.
God, I can't think of any other company that I would jump on as a second, as any small indies. But there's so many indie groups or um, indie studios that could get bought out through all this. And it's easy to look at the splashy big ones and be excited by those, but it's the indie ones you should be looking at.
Yeah, the indies are probably where you're going to see the greatest movement on.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I could see Microsoft buying up Devolver. I could easily see that happening.
Do you see Devolver going for it though?
Possibly not. Mostly because they could play it off to their whole we're not like normal people in the industry and everything. So I mean, if Microsoft were to make a deal, I could see them maybe just pushing it off for the time if they aren't bleeding for capital, and then sort of spinning it in one of their little Devolver Digital E3 presentations and say, "Yo, Microsoft tried to buy us, but you know what we said? Fuck them." So,
Okay.
But if they were hurting for capital, I could see them turning around, going, "Hey, yeah, that money infusion sounds great right now."
Devolver is worth about $955 million.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not going to be for sale, and here's why. They announced they're going to go public. In 2021, they announced they're going public. Their estimated evaluation is $955 million. That's before they're going public. Or that they already are at public. Wait a minute. They're a British company, so that's why I'm getting mixed up here. But they are public. They're worth $955 million. I think a company that just went public does not want to get sold right away.
No.
So, worth a shot.
Yeah, I mean, if they offer just the right price, I mean, the major holders might just cave and say, you know what, that sounds like a great price.
Devolver for $3 billion would probably be a good price.
Yeah.
Good for both the person who purchases them and for Devolver. But then again, they're on the upswing. They constantly are churning out good games. People are buying them. They have good word of mouth. I don't see them selling.
Yeah, I don't either, but that would be one interesting one to see.
All right. Well, that will do. Oh, let's. Before someone reminds us of this, Sony owns 5% of Devolver Digital.
Yeah.
And 8% is owned by NetEase.
Yeah, the Chinese software publishing house out in China.
Yeah.
But just seeing how Sony already owns 5% of Devolver, just if they really did want to buy it, they could try to just crank up the share buying and everything.
Or Microsoft can just buy the controlling stock. I mean, they only own 5%, so the only reason why I know this is because one of the thing people ask is Devolver owned by Microsoft? No, Sony Interactive owns 5%.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Oh, that does it, I think, for this episode. What do you think, Zero? You think you've had enough today?
We went through some pretty meaty discussions, so this would probably be a good place to call it.
All right. All right. So for Zero, I am the Wiz, and this is the Cooperative Game Chat. So hope to hear from you next time.
Yep. See you guys next time.